So, yeah, Yogesh, as I told you, we have a Sarana also. So, Sarana, like we are, as I told you, like even we already done with the demo. So today is the first session. So before going to
Okay.
know the class, can you just brief about yourself? Like how many years of experience do you have and the domain you're working currently?
Oh, yeah, I do have like close to 18, 19 years of experience, and I have been working in data governance for the last 10, 12 years. And I have been working with various tools like Alation, Colibra, IGC, um, and a few other proprietary tools in the past. Yeah, I have been working in the governance space for a while, and now things are getting transitioned into Purview. So I just want to get the details on the configuration and managing Purview.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you for your introduction, Sarvana. This helps me to drive the training accordingly. Just want to know,
Sure.
like, if you do have like experience into Azure cloud or any other cloud experience.
Oh, yeah, I do have Azure uh, experience.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have. And yeah,
Okay, and that's good actually. So Amir is also having the Azure cloud experience. So usually, like if people are not having the experience, I start the course with the basics of Azure, like hierarchy within the Azure and how we can create the resources, the pricing model, all those stuff. So I will skip that
oh,
part,
okay.
and yeah, I can skip that part. So any other specific requirement that you have, just you want to understand like how the tool works, basically?
Yeah, basically how the tool works in a admin perspective too, and also like if at all if it is possible, if you can help explaining uh, the what to say the Snowflake part of connectivity and something to do with the data classification and other stuff, that should be good too.
Yeah, data classification we will cover. Mainly we'll cover the Azure related data sources, for example, storage or ADLS, Azure SQL database. I need to see if I can set up something related to
Okay.
Snowflake because I need to have that kind of account or I think
Yeah.
it's cloud service only, right? Snowflake.
It's also having some free trial thing. Even I've
Yeah,
also
yeah.
tried
So
to get something like that.
yeah, then I can try to set up that integration part as well with
Okay.
Purview. Yeah, let me just share my screen.
Sure, Yogesh. And at the high level, like, would like to understand one another thing. Like of late, like the from the Microsoft, people are saying they're not going to be much development in Purview, and the tool will become obsolete in next 2 years, and they are like planning to move to one lake catalog. So, do you have any insights on that, Yogesh?
Yeah, that's a good question actually, and I think 2 days back only, I think on Thursday I heard the same news. So it was shocking for
Okay.
me as well. Yeah, it's 2 days
Oh,
back I
is it?
heard.
Okay.
So that's a good question actually. They mentioned that there won't be further development into this one.
Yeah. No more
So
bug fixes or enhancements with Purview.
no new investments will happen for sure. Yes, that's a
Okay.
news for me actually. Yeah.
Oh, even yes. Okay.
So
Okay.
they are going to migrate it to the Fabric. Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely based on Fabric right now, and they don't have any other capability unless the source is Fabric.
Yeah. So they are making like everything into Fabric now.
Yeah.
So let me just share my screen. So I'll just give my brief introduction and then usually I
Oh,
also
sure.
start with the data governance related part as well because Amir is kind of
Mhm.
from the data analyst background. So he's working on the Fabric, I think, Power BI reports. Coming to my experience, like my name is Yogesh. I have like more than 19 years of IT experience. More than 9 years is into big
Mhm.
data and Azure cloud technologies. Specifically for Purview, I am working since year 2020, like since initially it was launched. So in year 24,
Oh,
the
that's great.
Purview, yeah, so Purview was changed from like classic portal to new portal. So like lot many changes are done by Microsoft, and as I mentioned, like the major challenge with Purview or any other Microsoft technologies is to catch up with the changes they are frequently doing or the rapid changes they are doing. As this is also a new change that they will merge it into Fabric into one catalog, like one lake.
Okay.
So that coping with the rapid changes is the challenge that easy to learn and implement. So
Yeah.
don't know why it's internet connection. Just a minute. Yeah. So
I just
I
like
have
had
strong.
a little bit blockage, but all good.
Okay. Okay. So in terms of my experience, I have like different domain experience like banking, automotive industry, healthcare, telecom, e-learning. I do deliver trainings in, let's say, Azure Data Engineering, which was the previous case. Now I also deliver training into like Microsoft Fabric. I'm like DP 700 Data in Fabric Data Engineer Associate certified as well. I do deliver training in Microsoft Purview mainly into data governance and then data loss prevention, information protection. So within Purview also there are like n number of solutions which Microsoft has combined. So I'll tell about that also. And the data governance and DLP are like separate components of it. I do have strong experience into Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks, Azure Data Explorer, and then basically the Azure Data and AI stack. So I also deliver training on the Azure Databricks. I also have strong experience and delivery experience into GenAI and Agentic AI trainings as well. Strong experience into Microsoft AI Foundry. So you can consider like mostly the data and AI stack along with the governance part.
Okay.
So end-to-end suite, I can say about the Azure Data and AI governance platform.
Oh, that's awesome.
So coming to the purview specifically within the data governance, we have data map where we do the data registration or the data source registration, unified catalog. So we are going to have a depth knowledge of everything. I'll be showing the labs. Since you both have the Azure background, so that gives me a good like state to move forward directly into the purview. Then we are going to cover the classification part also. So built-in classifications are there more than 200. We can create custom classification also as required. For example, the PII information or the world cities or like SSN number is there for US state. For different states, different driving license number, passport number, all those will be like by default as part of the inbuilt classifications. If we have specific requirement, then we can create custom regex patterns also, which can detect the classification during the metadata scanning. Then we have the data quality also, which was not there previously. It was part of the new portal after like year 24 September. So then we have data estate insights, which provides like the various kinds of graphs across like for the data estates, like in terms of the classification, sensitivity labels. Then we have the purview roles. So super admin kind of role. I will explain all those things. That is like domain admin, collection admins. Then we have governance domains. Then the concepts of data products, data assets. Then concepts of critical data elements, objectives and key results of data governance, business glossaries. All this we will be covering as part of this course, mainly in terms of the labs. So initial few sessions we will just spend on like understanding the data governance part and how to start the data governance in Microsoft Purview also. So that also we will cover. And then for Purview, there are like multiple solutions. So as part of the compliance and security, data loss prevention is there, which we have like the SITs, sensitive info types. Then we can built in sensitive info types are there, like for example, detection of credit card number or detection of like the bank account numbers. So that is part of DLP. We can create custom SITs also. Then there are machine learning related trainable classifiers also there. Exact data match is there, EDM. So multiple, again, it is a kind of different route actually, basically for the data loss prevention within the purview. Information protection will help us to get the data labeling, basically sensitive data levels. For example, highly confidential, internal, public, or PHI data. So we can add the sensitivity labels to the documents, basically using the information protection policies. We prevent the data loss, let's say sending the data outside of the organization, or like different detection of copy and pasting the data, let's say into the even the website forms. So that we can do using data loss prevention, copying the sensitive data on the machines also. So that or copying it to the USB or the third devices like outside of the your Windows system, Windows and Mac system. So that is DLP endpoint protection. So that comes under the data loss prevention part. Detection comes through the information protection, the labeling the data part. And then we have the various other solutions like data lifecycle management, e-discovery, audit is there, insider risk management is there. So for example, like some high risk employees are there within the organization who are going to do some kind of sending the important documents outside of the organization or something. So those can be also detected. So insider employee related risky behaviors will be detected through insider risk management, and that is very complex area within Purview. Then we have the data security posture management, and that is DSPM for AI. So initially there is a DSPM for classic is there. Now they change it to DSPM for AI. So this integrates with your Copilot system and Microsoft AI Foundry. So you can also detect the sensitive data inside the prompts, for example, the Copilot or the Microsoft AI Foundry applications, which are kind of GenAI or agentic AI solutions. So this is a new DSPM is a new system available to detect that kind of data security related checks. So that's the overall like high level view of the Purview. So as part of this
Wait,
course, we will
is the
mainly
DSPM of AI Foundry, is it a separate tool or is it included with Purview?
so
In the
what the,
catalog, will it have access?
no, so what happened is Purview was initially two separate portals were there, Purview Data Governance Portal and Purview Compliance Portal. Now, after year 24 September, what they had done is they merged these compliance and data governance into single portal. So now within the Purview, there are multiple solutions. So DSPM is one solution within the Purview ecosystem. So they call it as a solution now. So we can say components of Purview. So
Mhm.
each component or solution serves a different purpose. So DSPM is a totally kind of different solution within the Purview ecosystem. Data governance is a separate one. Let's say the information protection, DLP, then insider risk management, audit, e-discovery, all these are solutions within the Purview. So within the Purview umbrella, we have these n number of solutions. In some cases, they integrate
Okay.
in between. For example, DLP integrates with information protection. So label data you can block to, let's say, send email outside of your organization or detect the sensitive data wherever it is applicable. So you
Okay.
label the data and then you take some actions on top of that. So sometimes these solutions are integrated, sometimes they are standalone solutions.
Okay. Thank you.
But yeah, but within the main Purview umbrella, these various solutions are there. So like you have requirement of data governance. So we mainly focus on data governance solution because each will have a dedicated kind of learning path, I will say. So we will understand like the lineage part also, the scanning of the metadata part as well, classification, data source registration, the roles and like RBAC with role-based access control within the Purview also, how we can integrate Purview with the other data sources. So usually, if you are aware, like Azure Data Factory tool, which is ETL tool, internally Purview uses ADF to connect to the different data sources. It's not kind of disclosed thing, but it is using the integration runtimes, the compute to connect with the different data sources. So just to give like, as you are already like so much experience into the data governance, but just for Amish, like just to give him the background, why we need the data governance. So I had given like one example yesterday, like for example, in terms of the monitoring the ATM related transactions, or like who is coming to the ATM, we have CCTV there. So as such, it will not generate a revenue for you, but it will detect suspicious activities, for example, or it will give you the traceability kind of part. So in terms of the Purview also is the similar thing. It may not generate the immediate business revenue, but long term, it is mainly important for the regulatory and compliance related part for the organization, and mainly for the banking and healthcare domains or government domains where the data security is the key concern. So what data governance provides us? The trust in the data, like who is owning the data, who are the kinds of producers and consumers, who is the data stewards. We are going to see these roles. Sarvana, you might be already knowing all these concepts as part of the
Sure, yeah.
DAMA, data management book of knowledge, body of knowledge, and certified data management professional. But just to set the background, while before we go to the tool part, I'm just setting up the context of the data governance. So it also helps in terms of understanding the business forecast. For example, based on what kind of data sources the organization is having, the whole data estate. So usually we are mainly focused on like outside of the data governance. Whenever people are working, they are mainly focused on, let's say, the ETL part or data science or AI part or data analyst part also. Mainly they are dealing with single data source or couple of data sources as part of that project. But when we consider the data governance, we should consider it at the whole organization level, not just as few data sources or few projects only. Initially, you may start as a pilot or understanding how the data governance is helpful to the organization with a single project or single business division or unit. But whenever you set up data governance in any tool, it should be considered as a whole organizational level impactful implementation. So because we get the full data estate insights with the, let's say, Purview or any other data governance tool, this helps to like the CEO or top management to decide the business forecast. Since they have the visibility now, which data is available, which is not available, which is curated, which is not curated, who are the owners, who are the producers, all those SMEs of the data, it is basically useful for them to forecast or decide the next projects, or like what kind of growth they can build into the business. So that is one important factor. So as a data governance engineer or Purview engineer, you may not find that useful why we am doing this kind of work. But that may be useful for the business, and they may have different agendas for the data governance implementation. Another thing is business impact. Like you can have the lineage part also, which can help you what one change in one data source can impact in how many places. So data lineage is basically at each node you have like different data sources, and how one data source can impact the other data sources. So that gives also the business impact in terms of understanding the lineage and data estate part. The another important part is you can like save the fines and damage and reputation also by maintaining the proper data governance implementations and the compliance related part, and you get compliant, you will be compliant with the regulatory bodies. Basically the government regulatory bodies or the different country regulatory bodies will be there. So because of that, you may have to implement the data governance. Transparency into data life cycle and business operations. So as I mentioned, you get the visibility through the lineage, what's happening and where is happening, where is my data stored across the organization, is there again who is owning that data. So all that information transparency will be there into centralized location in terms of, let's say, Purview. So it solves data issues also, based on, like, since you have the full visibility now, you can remove the blockages to unblock the, like, major projects also. Or for example, one project needs data from other project, and if the organization doesn't know that the data already resides in the organization, which can be reused, that will also unblock the other projects as well. So mainly the data governance comes as part of three things, mainly people, process, and technology or tools, we can say. So as you know, like, these different tools are there: Alation, Colibra, and Microsoft Purview. So mainly data governance is having these three foundation layers: people, process, and technology. So people will be part of with, like, different roles like data steward, SME, and different roles as part of the tool as well, and as part of the data governance also. Chief data officer will be there, data security officer will be there, chief information security officer, CISO will be there. So many roles will be there. And then process, how do you implement the data governance within the organization? So that will fall under the processes, which processes you use it. And as part of the technology, as I mentioned, these tools are there. So Purview just falls under the technology part, and then there are other two parts like people and processes. So then we will see the architecture of these Purview, like, after some time. Then roles in data governance. So usually whenever a data governance project starts, there will be a leadership team or steering committee. It is called as steering committee, who will, like, develop the strategy roadmap, and they will decide the business value. So they are kind of sponsors also, we can say, for the data governance projects within the organization. So that should be the standard approach followed, but in different organization, different use cases, you may find that someone just started data governance without knowing what is the purpose of that. Just to start with Purview, because Microsoft sometimes recommends to use Purview as a data governance tool, or they just want to explore the data governance. But the usual path should be, like, there should be a committee who should decide the strategy roadmap and the business outcome. Then only the project should start, but you may not find that is the right approach followed in every organization. Then there will be functional group who will be actually doing the tool related or technology related implementation part, which falls under day-to-day activities. So who will be actually mainly working on the tool side area. So for example, like Amir, you asked this question, what will be my day-to-day activities if I become Purview engineer? So mainly this falls under the functional group. You will be mainly coordinating with different stakeholders, let's say the data stewards or the data producers or consumers, and then you may grant them permissions, or you may register the data sources and then do the scanning on their behalf. It depends on how the organization structure is defined for Purview access also. So we will discuss that part as well. Then we have, like, multiple roles, as I mentioned, data steward who will be the domain expert for that specific area. For example, we have multiple domains: sales, IT, like, then marketing domain. So for different domains, there should be a data steward who will be the domain expert. Then there are, like, data producers who are kind of generating the data, or they are having the kind of, for example, for one project, the SQL database or kind of different databases will be there. They are generating the data from their project. So there will be data producers who are having that kind of, let's say, for example, from different data sources, they are bringing data into Microsoft Fabric. So they are kind of data producers for generating the data inside a Fabric ecosystem, for example. Data consumers will be who are going to use that data, who need that data for different purposes. For example, Amir, you are as working as an analyst. You are kind of a consumer of that data which is there in Fabric for to build the reports which are required for the business. So there are like multiple data stewards, data quality owner. All these roles will be there that we will see separately within the Purview ecosystem. But any question on this high level data governance overview?
So in this case,
No.
Yeah.
sorry. So what is our role will be here? It will be generic for overall operations, or you
Yes.
said
Functional
yeah.
group. Yeah. So here we will be managing technology part, day-to-day technology part.
Yeah, okay.
So usually ETL projects or any projects within the organization will have the data movement related part. So for example, there can be cloud data sources or on-premise data sources. And usually you bring the data into the cloud using, let's say, Azure Data Factory or Synapse pipelines. And that data becomes available into multiple different storage systems. For example, the Azure storage is one of the thing, or Azure Data Lake Storage, or Azure SQL Database, or PostgreSQL, Cosmos DB. So there are like many flavors of databases and the storage service like storage and ADLS. So how the data movement is happening, where the data is stored, who is owning that data. So all that we catch up with using the Microsoft Purview or through the data governance. And then what you are doing with that data is kind of, let's say, AIML use case or web application, or you are sending the data back again to the on-premises, or you are building a Power BI report. Use cases can be anything. The data sources can be anything. Targets can be anything, or you can bring, let's say, new thing is Fabric. You bring the data into Fabric lake houses and warehouses. So usually the ETL or data related projects will be first to get the raw data from different locations, consolidate that data into the cloud, and then do required data processing part or transformation part using different tools again. It can be Azure Databricks or Azure Data Factory, or within Fabric. Now we have the like data flows Gen 2 or notebooks also we can write within Fabric to process the data. So how you will know like where is this is just for one project, and there will be a number of projects going on within the organization, and they can have different multiple use cases. So how you will know like which data is stored where in the organization? And for that reason, you need the data governance and data governance tool. So if we use Purview as a data governance tool, we will just capture the metadata information into the Purview tool, not the actual data. So always remember this mainly, Amir, for you, because you mainly work on the data processing part, right? So this is Purview just captures the metadata information and not the actual data. So metadata, when we say metadata, it is like what is the name of the data source, its full FQDN, like full path of that data source, then how it is related to the other data sources. For example, if it is into this ADLS account, how it is related to the other containers or files. Related in the sense if it is falling under the same like location. Same for the database tables also, like one table, what are the other related tables are there. So we are not doing anything with respect to actual data, except the data quality part. All the other thing is in Purview is related to the metadata enrichment, metadata curation. So these are the terminologies used mainly. We do not do anything related to the actual business data. Only the metadata gets captured inside the Microsoft Purview. So during the scanning, when we register and scan the metadata in Purview, it captures automatically the classification, whatever the lineage, wherever possible, it will capture the lineage. So all that will be done as part of some built-in functionalities of Purview. In some cases, we can do the customizations in terms of the classifications, all those. But in many cases, built-in capabilities provide the required information. So in organization, we will have n number of projects, n number of data sources. We will connect those to the Purview and bring the metadata inside the Purview, not the actual data. As part of the data quality, since now Purview connects to these data sources, we can have option to run the data quality checks on top of that. So for example, freshness, accuracy, completeness, those kind of data quality scans also we can run using Purview because that feature is now available within the Purview. But as such, as part of the data governance, we only mainly focus on implementation of the metadata management. And that is what we call it as unified catalog. So we have all the data sources related information inside the Purview, which we manage as a catalog. So consider it as a kind of restaurant menu which has the full list of like the dishes, but the actual dishes get implemented into the kitchen. Everything handling will happen, everything will happen inside the kitchen. So similar to that, everything data processing, massaging will happen in these ETL projects. But the metadata information will be captured inside the Purview. Another example is the library, like book library. So like science fiction, learning related books, maths, science like geography, historical books, history related books will be stored into different racks inside the library, and you will have the like metadata captured into, let's say, library management system, which will have the information in which rack which book is kept, of which type book is kept, who is owning that book as of now. So that is kind of a good example of mapping the data governance or Purview. So we just captures the metadata information. Actual books will be stored into the racks. So it is just a metadata information captured inside the Purview tool. Any question on this?
Yeah, okay. This one here, where we will connect the data sources before
In
ETL
the data
or
map, we will cover. In the data
no,
map, we will
no.
connect.
Yeah, what I'm asking is after the ETL we will be connecting to the Purview or before this directly will
It can
connect.
be any time. It can be any time.
Mhm.
It can be in parallel also, or it can be after ETL also.
Okay.
Because these are running independently of Purview, these projects.
Okay.
So that's the reason the data governance is also an iterative process. It is not that you start it after completion of your one ETL project because there are n number of projects in the organization.
So the better practice will be connecting to the direct sources itself, not after
Correct,
the.
correct. Yeah, that's the direct way. So,
Mhm.
and then you do the scanning execution daily or depends on the schedule what you want, how the data sources are changing. So if my data source is changing on daily basis, I will run the metadata scan on daily basis to fetch the new metadata information inside the Purview.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So I'm just giving the overview of the how the projects are running into the organization. This may or may not be the scenario in the organization again. It depends. So that's the reason I mentioned when we think about data governance, it should be at the top level, at the organization level, not just matching it with some projects, what projects are going on. There will be intersection and there will be communication between these projects with the data governance teams or bodies, but these are independent of the the kind of data governance. If you have, let's say, hundreds of data sources within the organization, how you will know like which data source is located where, who is the owner of that, who is the SME of that data, and what is the quality of that data. So that's what we capture at the high level. So if you consider on-premise, you have Oracle, SQL, Postgres, file server, hundreds of data types are there, data sources are there. Same with the cloud. So as an organization, let's say if I'm a CEO, how I will know what is my data estate? Which all data sources are there in my organization? Where is that data stored? What are the locations of that data? What classified data it contains? What sensitive data it contains? Are we making the security and role-based access control to these sensitive data types? So all that will be managed at the data governance level. That's why we need the data governance. So
Yeah,
where is all this my PII data? Where is, let's say, Saudi Arabia bank data is there? In which databases? In which all locations within the organization? Where are like the driving license data is stored? Where is the passport data is stored? These are just examples. In organization, real-time data can be anything. But as a top management, do I have the visibility? If the regulatory and compliance bodies comes and ask for the like kind of whatever the process they want to follow, do I have the answers to for them? For that, like chief data officers will be there to provide the information from the data governance tools to the management, and they can answer to the regulatory bodies. They can provide this, they can show the data estate. So it will also generate the graphs. Once you scan the data sources to fetch the metadata inside Purview, it will also generate the reports automatically for you. That gives you the full picture. So this is ongoing work actually. It depends on what is the, you will not get immediate revenue or kind of immediate outputs of the data governance project. It is long-term project, ongoing project. As you add new data sources, you will be registration will happen, scanning will happen, and data is changing frequently. So based on that, you will also need to do the scanning of these registered data sources. So that cycle will keep continuing. So you need to remove the redundant data also. Sometimes you will delete the data also. Let's say you captured the metadata of the Oracle database into Purview, but later on there is no need of this data. You deleted this on-premise data source. So there that the Oracle data metadata captured in Purview will become redundant. So you will delete that metadata from Purview. So new data sources will come, existing data sources may be there or they will keep upgraded. The schema of the data will change or the old data sources will be deleted. So that ongoing work will be happening. So you need to keep the data estate up to date every day. That will be the major one of the responsibility.
yeah,
So that's what data governance or Purview will answer the questions, how many data sources are there within the organization. Again, what type of data is there? Is it table data or file data? So it will generate those graphs also automatically. Where are they located? Who is having access to it? Who are the SMEs of that data? Who are the owners of that data? So if something happens if with the sensitive data, that owner will be held as a responsible person. So for that, we should know who is the owner of the data. So from where to where the data is flowing within the organization. That will be given through the lineage part, audit trail related part. And then we have data quality also as one of the features. So which we can run from Purview on these supported data sources. Not all the data sources are supported. So that's mainly how you have the metadata or organized data within the organization. That's how the data governance or purview helps you. Then you classify automatically. The classification will happen when you register, scan, and get the metadata ingested inside the purview. So which all data contains the PII information. So it will add that tag or label to that data, even to the column also, column level. Phone, email address, even which database contains passwords, which contains the sensitive information, credit card, account numbers, all that. The social security number, PAN card, driving license number, passport. Automatically, it will label those data or classify that data. And it will generate the graphs associated with that also. So we connect Purview to different data sources. It also supports AWS GCP connectivity. As Sarvana asked for the Snowflake, it connects to the Snowflake cloud also. Then Salesforce also it connects and then fetch the metadata. So that's how the importance of Purview is. It has the wide range of connectivity with on-premise and cross-cloud data sources as well. So as I mentioned, Salesforce, Google Cloud, AWS, Snowflake, whatever like maximum data sources it can support, it has that capability. And plus built-in classification capability also there, lineage is there. All those functionalities are there. So coming to the specific roles here, then data owner will be held accountable for anything happens to that business data. That as I just mentioned, if the sensitive data leakage happens, so he will be held responsible for that. For that, the organization, like the top management, should know who is the owner of the data. So for that reason, we maintain that information inside Purview. Data steward, who is kind of the domain expert, we can say, who will define the data for that specific domain. It can be sales, marketing, or the relevant organization domain. So he will maintain that quality and correctness of that data. Data custodian will be there, like the who like IT engineers who move and store the data, who are handling the data. So they are kind of custodians, we can say. Day-to-day handling of the data is happening through these engineers, data engineers or data architects. So data governance council sets the high-level strategy and resolves disputes. So if at any point of time, if you are diverting the data governance program is diverting from its main goal, then this steering committee or council or the sponsorship committee should be consulted. Are we going into right direction? And they will also keep a watch and eye on what's happening in the data governance on the high level. So they are the main sponsors roadmap. They will decide the roadmap for the data governance, what needs to be done, what are the priorities, what should be done in next 3 months, 6 months, next 2 years. They will decide all that. So you will be just playing a role of, let's say, Purview admin or Purview senior engineer, data governance engineer, or Purview engineer, who will be working with all the project teams or all the business areas, depending on who wants to onboard to the Purview data governance. So Purview data governance supports the data catalog, or now this is changed to unified catalog. So once we ingest the metadata is easily available as part of the catalog for search. Data sharing is also available but some of these features are in preview since I'm seeing like from year 2020. Data policy is also in preview. So I think they are not going to make it generally available. So as you know, the how Microsoft releases the products and features is private preview, public preview, and the generally available. So if the feature is in preview, that means we can't use that into production environments. because that is still under development, and there can be security challenges or any other issues that we may encounter into the production ecosystem, and that's the reason we may not go with those into the production. So data estate insights will be there, data lineage will be there, and then data policies. So this feature was in preview. I think this is still in preview. Same for the data sharing also. This is kind of in-place sharing. In-place sharing, for example, I'm sharing this my PowerPoint presentation using the Teams. You can read it, but you can't make changes to my presentation. So this is how it is called as in-place data sharing. So you get access to the data, you can read it, but you can't make changes to the data. So we will see the Purview architecture. Before that, I wanted to show that. Yeah, this main hierarchy is whenever we start the project, any data governance project, in the sense like the practices, we should think of high level always, like at the organization level. So within organization, you can have a number of departments or verticals. Within that, you will have like different projects going on. Within that, you have like multiple data sources. I had like one big picture associated with this one. Just a minute. Yeah, maybe I'll draw it here itself. So within organization, you have a number of departments. Within each department, different n number of projects are going on. Within that, you will have different data sources. And that will happen across all the projects again, data source 2, and then let's say so on. So same will replicate across different projects. So to have the full visibility and how you should implement the Purview also, when you have to connect to these data sources, you should first understand your organization hierarchy. And that's how you should start with building the things inside the Purview. So how you will get to register these data sources is through having these kind of setup inside the Purview. So same thing we will replicate inside the Purview also. Maybe in next session, I will show that this hierarchy. So within Purview, this each block is called as collection, or you can consider as a folder. So if you want to register data sources from department finance from project A, you should create the similar hierarchy. So at the top level in the Purview, you will have this as a collection, top level collection, organization name. Within that, you create sub collection as finance. Within that, you create project A. And within that, you register the data sources. And at each folder or collection level, you grant the different permissions to the different users. So based on their responsibilities, they will have these roles assigned to them inside the Purview also. And that's how you control the role-based access within the Purview. So understanding the organization hierarchy is important to implement the similar structure inside the Purview. This is just for dev environment. Same thing will replicate across UAT and production also. So at the top level, then you will have, so this structure will repeat after, except this top level organization to dev, UAT and prod. That depends again organization choice, which data sources they want to make a part of the data governance. Usually everything should be But as starting point, you may have few data sources, but you should think in a bigger way before you implement the purview. Because later on you may face challenges. So you will have like top level organization. Within that, you will create this structure, dev, UAT, and prod. And within that, again, you create the specific department level structure. And within that, you will then do the data source registration at that specific hierarchy. I will show this in practical way also inside the purview once we will create the purview account. But just to give an overview, high level information at this point. So we are not talking about any single project or anything. It should be always thought in terms of the organization level. Any question on this one?
So it will also have like UAT, it's DevOps kind of moving kind of thing, CI/CD, something like that here.
No. There won't be CI/CD, but the data sources that you want to connect from UAT and prod, for that reason, we create UAT and prod as a collection there basically.
Okay.
And you segregate the access within the purview using these collection types, collection names, basically, we can say. So earlier they used to provide 3 purview accounts in one tenant. So you had like dev, UAT, and prod, 3 different purview accounts. But later on, they changed and made it single across the whole organization, across all your data sources. It can be on-prem, cloud, or cross-cloud also. One account connects to everything.
So in this case, I just have one doubt. Maybe question may be silly question. This one in the project A will have the data source. The same data source will be used on project B also, right? So you have to register 2 times.
If it is the same data source, then you can't register it twice. If
Okay.
the data source is replicated, let's say Oracle database A, Oracle database B, then you can register and scan it. But if project is same Oracle database, project E is using same Oracle database, you can register it only once because there is no duplication of that. So you register only once that
Okay.
data source.
Mhm.
So now that decision need to be made, like where to register again. But you can do at one place in the purview where you want to do. So these kind of limitations or these kind of challenges you may face in real time. Yeah, that is not a silly question, good question actually. So if you have replicas of that databases with different name, you can register it. But if you have single data source at the same time, you can only register it in one time. You cannot replicate it multiple times. You cannot register it multiple times.
Okay.
So Purview connects to all the data sources that you have in the organization. So on-prem, your own cloud, and the other cross-cloud data sources as well. One account to connect with everything. You will not have separate Purview accounts for separate environments and for separate cloud and on-prem data sources. Everything. That's the reason Purview is used. Central visibility across all your data estate. Any question? So before we see the like implementation of Purview also, the important part is how you start the data governance. So we have seen the steering committee or the data governance council or the leadership team or the sponsorship team who decides everything. And then comes like where to start. This organization is big. How to start? Who will have control over Purview? Right. So For example, this department may need the data governance and others are not interested. That can happen. So either it should be enforced from the top level that no, this is CEO decision. We want to implement data governance using Purview across the whole organization. That comes as a mandate for everyone to follow. Or finance departments wants to start the data governance because of some need. And they go to the central management and say, we want to implement data governance. So if management is not interested, they say, do it your own stuff. Go ahead and implement data governance. So they may start it, but gradually later on, organization may find the need of data governance, other departments may find the need of data governance. So whenever you set up something, it should be thought at the organization level. But how to start then? That is the thing. So it should be a gradual process. As I mentioned, you will not get a tangible results immediately, the business revenue immediately. It is not for generating business revenue, like similar to ETL projects, data analyst, data science, ML, AI related project. It is not going to generate immediate revenue for the organization, but you can prevent the damage happening with the regulatory and compliance related fines and the reputation. You can save that by maintaining a good data governance practices within the organization and comply with the government regulatory bodies. So that's the benefit of Purview data governance. Immediately you will not find the its results or the like in terms of monetary benefits. So there will be centralized approach. So these are again coming from the data management body of knowledge, DMBOK, Dama book. So everything, first approach is the centralized approach. So as I mentioned, the CEO or the central team makes the mandate and you implement across different departments. They will have everything, the responsibility. Here the problem is there will be less flexibility to the individual teams or individual departments. So let's say they have different demands or different requirements. They can communicate and try to implement that. But whatever the central team says, they have to follow. So there is a less agility at the edge, less flexibility for these groups of people. Then this federated approach is there, which is mainly commonly used, where there will be centralized control plus they will have the flexibility to implement whatever they want. So agility at the edge will be there. So they will coordinate and implement in a federated way. So let's say these department have their own requirements. They can do that, but at the same time, they need to follow the central guidelines as well. Here it is everything should be controlled by the central team. So decentralized, everyone is doing whatever they want. For example, one team is using Purview, another team is using Alation, another is using Colibra. Or within Purview also they are doing anything. Decentralized approach. No one is controlled anywhere. Agility will be there, but no responsibility at the central team. So usually the federated approach is followed. Central team will be there for governance and management across how the program is implemented within the organization, the data governance program. So before anything should be started, all these things should be taken into consideration. So you directly do not jump and do the things inside Purview. All these background is important before actually doing the technical implementation. Any questions? So we will see so we will see the Purview architecture maybe in next class. We will set up the Purview account and then how we will start the data registration, scanning, and understanding the Purview UI and ecosystem.
Sure, Yogesh. I mean, I have one question regarding the setup. Um, I mean, what do you have in your organization, or what do you recommend in terms of the user or group setup? For example, what I mean is in the previous applications, we used to have some groups, or they call
Yes,
us teams. For
yes,
example, I have like some 20 domains, then I will have 20 groups of stewards and 20 groups of owners and custodians. So we will
yes,
call it
that you
as like,
can, yeah,
okay.
you can
So,
do that. Hmm.
mhm.
Go
So what
ahead, go
is
ahead.
normally done, Yogesh? So,
See, from the same domain, you can group these users, or because even if you create a group of, let's say, stewards, each steward will be looking at different area within the organization.
yeah, the reason why, like, primarily we want to have as a teams or groups, uh, I mean, like, I was more thinking like having a security group at the uh, intra,
Enter
like,
ID.
yeah, intra ID. So, like having the groups, what it means is for every domain, we need to have a complete, I mean, it should be complete
Yes,
as long as there is a team assigned. And there
yes,
could be times wherein everyone from one team will be completely moved out of the responsibilities. So if I have a user assigned, then
yes,
assigning, reassigning, it's a big task. So to avoid it, we always used to have the groups. But
yes.
I just want to know if it is the same thing which is being done in Purview too, or you have a different
That
recommendation.
no, that is good approach that you can do. But what happens is at the bottom level, how many people are there with which role? That is important part. The grouping, for example, you mentioned about the stewardship. So each steward will have different product or domain assigned to him
Okay, yeah.
within Purview. So there is no point in building the group of like these stewards, because each we need to assign. If there is a group of, let's say, two, three domain experts are there or stewards are there from one business division or from one domain, in that case, grouping will help. But if, let's say, the single person is the steward, in that case, there is no point in creation of the group.
Oh, yeah, agreed with that. Yeah.
But at the collection level, let's say data source registration is there. That is one role is there. So let's say 4 or 5 members are doing that work. So you can group and assign to that data source registration role, or data
Right.
consumers is there, reader role is there. In that case, yeah, surely you can use that group where that permissions will be mapped to the purview roles. So you will create groups inside the Microsoft Enter ID, the reader role or data curator role, and you will just add that into that bucket, the
Right.
new users. But again, as I was showing the hierarchy, each one will have separate areas,
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
organization level hierarchy. So
Right.
finance level curators, readers will be different. Sales will related data source registration, curator, steward, everything will be different.
Yeah.
So we usually then assign to single people, or if we have like multiple people working, because again budget constraints will be there usually.
Okay.
So everyone will not be put up into data governance also.
Right.
So that will also happen. So based on the limited users, you assign directly the one-to-one roles to the users or create groups also. Depends on how many users are there.
Yeah. Thank you, Yuki.
Thank you. Yeah. So we'll continue in the next session then.
Do you want us to do anything before the next session?
If you have like Azure subscription, free Azure subscription, you can register
Okay. Okay, sure.
with your email ID. I think you might be knowing that
Oh,
process,
yeah. I
right?
just like did it, created the account. Like, so I have the active tenant with the Purview right now with me. So, yeah, I think maybe next time when we are doing a hands-on, we can go through that.
Yeah, so I will also create a new account, new
So it is the correct
registration.
time. So it will be having only 30 days, right? So it will be workable now.
Yeah, 30 days only, yes.
Mm.
After that, it will be pay as you go. So in that case, what you can do is you can create with a new different email ID, Gmail ID, and register it again, and you can use that 30 days again. But if you want to extend the same setup, in that case, you have to go with the pay as you go model.
Okay. Yeah.
So maybe you can set up that, and then we will create Purview account. We will understand the architecture of Purview. We will create the Purview. We will understand the ecosystem UI, how navigation path for Purview. Then we will start the data source registration path, data curation, classification, all those things we will deep dive as we progress.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I will stop sharing.
Okay.